what's up everybody? Today we're going to talk about a couple of minicamp notes for the coming week. Minicamp is going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I'm also going to get into your guys' Q&As. Alright, so yesterday I asked you guys to submit questions for today. Q&A, that'll come up here in a second, but the serious cap mode time. Alright, so minicamp coming up here this week, and we got a couple of good notes coming in here leading up to the final mandatory practices. All right, these are mandatory. The OTAs, first 9 practices were voluntary. Cowboys had pretty much 100%, attendance. Nobody held out or sat out for contractual situations or nothing like that. So that's good. So this is the final part before we go into the dead zone, before the Cowboys, let the players go for the summer, and then they come back in July for training camp, Oxnard, California. And I think they're gonna do like a final week or two at the Star. Okay, so first thing of note, Connor McGovern has suffered a pectoral injury. He will not practice the remainder of the minicamp, so that's kind of a big thing there. It's not considered something that's going to put him on IR. It's not that bad of it's not a tear or anything like that. We have seen some players that get a pectoral injury and it sends them straight to IR. So the Cowboys are being very diligent with that. They're going to let him sit out and recover. That way he can be ready for training camp. So that's good. The other thing, a couple of other players are being held out for veteran days. Tyron Smith, Sean Lee, the general, and a few of the other vets, Jason Witten as well. So they'll probably practice 2 days instead of 3. So that's the norm. So more of the same, installation of the offense, situational football, red zone installation. That's good. Also, players continuing to look good in OTAs. And for people that say that it's just OTA and it doesn't mean this or this and that, they don't know what they're talking about. All right, because it does matter. It does matter. If Tristan Hill is getting first reps, is because he's put himself in that position. All right, it does not mean nothing. All right. Now, if these players that weren't getting more snaps due to not knowing the plays or things like that, then yeah, you would have concern. So it's a double-edged thing. So good news there. Tristan Hill continuing to look good in practice. Reggie Davis, wide receiver, he's getting some good action as well. John V. Johnson, they continue to look good. So lots to look forward to. It's just more of the same, really. So the wide receivers, that's a really stiff competition coming up for training camp, and we'll go over a lot of these position battles. But for right now, guys, let's get into the Q&A questions. Try to get to all of these. I'll try to run through these real quick so this video doesn't go too long. Okay, so hopefully I get to yours. But if I didn't, apologies. All right. So first one here, Jose Lagunas. What do you think the chances of Randy Gregory returning this season to play? All right, so we know that he is suspended indefinitely. So that means that he has violated the substance abuse yet again. Last year, the year before last year, he was on the 1-year ban. All right, so he did pretty good. Gave us good production last year, but apparently missed a test or a positive. Who knows what happened there? But he's out indefinitely. So we're at the mercy of the commissioner. He can rule on something now, or he can keep it as a 1-year ban again. So I'm going into the season as if we're not going to have him. If we do get him, it'll be icing on the cake. And that's how I think you guys should look at it. If we get him back, icing on the cake. If we don't, then you're not surprised. Okay, let's go to the next question. Jimmy Fuller, are trades over? I'm not hearing much other than we already have maybe a safety in the mix. All right, our trades over. So trade season, basically opened up, a little bit before the draft. It's not over until November. So trades can be had at any moment up until I think it's like November or something like that. So because safety being the mix, this is something that's going to continue to be a topic for the Cowboys fan base. As far as we need a safety, and there's something to it until we see a safety that comes out here and gives us that type of high-level elite play like a Darren Woodson or like someone like that. Really, if you think about it, Darren Woodson is the last elite safety we had here. And some of the newer fans or younger fans of the Cowboys have no idea who he even is or got to see him. All right, Darren Woodson was one of those guys, a transcendent defensive player. It needs to be in the Hall of Fame. It's a shame that the Hall has not put him in. It's a disgrace. All right, it's a disgrace by the NFL Hall of Fame. They should be ashamed of themselves. Some of these other, good safeties are getting in. They're good, but they're not Darren Woodson good or great. All right, so and that made me go on a little rant there. But a safety in the mix, obviously, would be. Question is, how much would you want to give? All right, do you want to give an early pick? I wouldn't. It's and the Cowboys have shown that safety is just not something that they want to invest a high pick in. They had a whole selection of safeties when their pick came up. We had a lot of the guys that we talked about, and Cowboys passed on them. All right, Cowboys passed on them. So we'll see. So that's a good question there. Let's go to the next one. This comes from Nick. What do you do outside of YouTube? Outside of YouTube, I work in IT. So I do hacking, breaking machines, fixing machines, ordering parts, replacements, procurement, server installation, setup, operating systems, all kinds of stuff. Fix a lot of people's boneheaded issues is really what I do, man. So if you work in IT, you guys know that there's always going to be work for you, because people just, they're scared of computers, and viruses are becoming very prevalent. So keeps us employed for a while. All right, so next one. Do you think we'll be able to sign Smith, Zeke, and Dak? Brown can leave, Chris can bring someone else and make him into a star. All right. Do I think we'll be able to sign them? I think they'll be able to sign them. The question is, who's going to get paid what? All right. So you're talking about Zeke and you're talking about Dak. Smith, which Smith are you talking about? Jalen Smith. So yeah, Jalen Smith, he will be re-signed. He's really shown to be a leader there. All right. Could he be a captain? This will be interesting to see who gets voted the captain. Will it be Sean Lee? Will it be Jalen Smith? I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think you got to pass the torch. Pass it to Jalen Smith. All right. But Jalen Smith, there's already rumors that, they're getting some frameworks in place for his contract. Zeke, I think that's going to be interesting because Gurley got a pretty big contract. He's got the bum knee now. That contract is not worth what they signed him for Gurley. But I would say that Zeke has the opportunity to make pretty good money. Dak Prescott, that's going to be an interesting situation with the Wentz contract. But yes, they do have the money, and the cap continues to increase every year. So no worries there. Don't buy into the issue that we're not going to be able to sign people. All right. Next one comes from Tavis Banks. Are we really paying Dak more than Carson? If we really wanted to sign him, we would have done it before his deal. So if we really wanted to sign him before his deal, so that one there, this is more of the Dak situation, right? So are we going to pay him more than Carson Wentz? I don't know that they'll do that. For me, Dak Prescott is better than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has been injury prone, really hasn't done much outside his rookie year. To me, he just rode the coattails of Nick Foles. All right, got the Super Bowl ring, but that was Nick Foles. He's just injury prone. He's injury prone. He's shown that. He's got his lower body is really small, and I compare him to Sam Bradford, the same kind of frame. If you're too small, you're fragile. You're not going to last in this league, and I think he's got that exact same frame as a Sam Bradford. You take a hit here and there, your knees go out, hamstrings, calf issues, that kind of thing. They overpaid him. All right, so are the Cowboys going to pay more than Carson? Probably not, but I think the agent is going to push for that number, and the Cowboys have a lower number, and hopefully they'll be able to meet in the middle there. All right, so let's go to the next question. These are good questions, guys. Very good questions. All right, so here we go. Let's see, this one comes from Ryan O'Toole. Who is a realistic replacement for Jason Garrett if the Cowboys were to decide to move on from him? Do you think Wentz deserved all that money? Injury prone? Yeah, just discussed that one there. So we'll talk about the Jason Garrett question. Who are some realistic replacements for Garrett? I think obviously they would look in-house immediately. Probably looking at Chris Richard. Obviously, will probably be the lead candidate, and I think you'll start Chris Richard, and then you have to look outside of the team for that, and that's where it gets scary because you have a program here that you've had in place for quite a while now. All right, you're gonna need somebody that kind of has the capability of of really elevating this team to the next level. All right, and that might be the final piece. You know, we've been talking about we need to draft this person, we need to do this and that, free agency, players, all that kind of stuff. And now I think the roster is ready. The roster is ready. So is the last piece now a coach? If Garrett can't get it done this year, or if we fall apart, the wheels fall off, we miss the playoffs, or if we're a one and done playoff team, you know, you gotta look at him. Okay, so Christian Sharp would be a good one there to look at. You probably want to look at some other offensive-minded type of coaches that are out there. You know, obviously North Turner is out there. You know, I know a lot of people, you know, grumble at that one there, but he runs a similar type of offense as Garrett. He's gotten his teams to the playoffs consistently. Jim Harbaugh is another one. I think he is low-key trying to get back to the NFL. Cowboys could be prime for him for the taking, and I think he could be kind of like a like a John Gruden was to the Tampa Bay Bucks. You know, the Bucks had a Super Bowl ready roster. Dungy couldn't get them in. They brought in the final piece. Cowboys, I think, are right there. They're in that situation right now. Okay, Garrett is where Dungy was at. All right, if he can't punch it in, can't punch the ticket to the Super Bowl, they got to bring in the coach, the final piece that can get them over that hump. All right, so would it be somebody like that? Would it be somebody like a Mike Holmgren, who is, you know, wanted to get back to the NFL, has really shown a lot of interest in coming back, and specifically for the Cowboys, but that's more of a West Coast offense. Maybe that's something the Cowboys need to do. But there will be a lot of people for looking to get into this position. You know, it's like Bill Parcells said that it's like your name is out there on Broadway. It's the big lights. Who doesn't want to coach the Cowboys? And for anybody that says so-and-so would never coach here, slap him in the face. Again, that kind of shit. Because if you're talking about a Sean Payton, you're talking about a Bill Belichick. If these coaches become available, they will want to come here to Dallas. Don't buy into that bull crap about they wouldn't be able to work with Jerry and this and that. That is a bunch of BS to the max. All right, so that'll be something interesting to watch. Let's see what happens. All right, let's see what happens. Next question. Can I get a cap? This is from Greg White. Obviously, I get this question a lot. Where do I get my caps from? And it's Lids. I go to Lids. You know, the store in the mall, they have a Lids. Or you can go lids.com. Also, neweracap.com is another one. Those are my two main ones. Fanatics. Occasionally, I'll get one from Fanatics. And also, the Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium Pro Shop, they have an awesome selection. So if you get a chance to get out there to a game, go downstairs and hit up that Pro Shop, because they have the one that's you know, on the level where you're, you know, where you can buy your concessions and you see the Pro Shop. Go downstairs, okay? They have stairs that go downstairs to the big part of it, and that's where a lot of all the caps are at. So go check that out. All right. This one comes from Gary Bowman. What are the realistic expectations for Tristan Hill this season? This is a good question. This is something that I kind of covered with Taco Charlton, and you kind of have to set your expectations low. And when you're looking at rookie defensive ends for Taco's situation, it was like, I think it was like 2.5 or 3 sacks for the rookie season, you know, averaging out all the good ones from a Von Miller to all these other ones. You know, there are exceptions, obviously, but the average ended up being like 3 sacks. For defensive tackle, it's even lower. So if you're looking from big sacks out of Tristan Hill, I wouldn't count on it. This would be more of icing on the cake. If you can get sacks out of it, that would be great. And that's what they're hoping he is, the under tackle that will be able to come in here, you know, stuff that run, be a menace in the running game, and get to the quarterback on the way, kind of like Jason Hatcher. Jason Hatcher was your last true under tackle, pass rushing defensive tackle. So his expectations his rookie year, probably looking at 3 sacks, 4 sacks, maybe at the most. If you can get more than that, you know, it'd be great. But you do have a pretty stacked defensive line where, you know, somebody's going to open up single one-on-one matchups. So either the defensive ends are going to feast, or the defensive tackles are going to feast, or everybody's going to feast. All right. So we'll see what happens. Let's hope everybody can stay healthy. All right. Gary Davidson. I hear nothing on backup competition for the ugliest kickball or kicker last year. Okay, so yeah, well, there is starting to be some conversation here, and we've actually talked about this on the podcast, Foots and I, that this is a low-key position that should concern some people, because Cooper Rush kind of had a sophomore slump type of season last year in the preseason, and there is but then again, you had a really bad group of backup offensive linemen that couldn't block worth of shit. So there's something to that. This year we have better depth, so I think we'll get a better look. But if at the end of camp, or if we're getting close down to it, or if they don't look any better in the preseason, you're gonna have to take a look outside. This one comes from Dallas Cowboys Football News. What are your thoughts about Dax Future Contract? What do you predict the amount? All right, so I've done a couple videos on this. In one of my initial videos, I had him, I think, at 25 million, I think, on my first prediction video. And people were grumbling at that one there. Okay, go back to that video. There's people like, hey, no way, you're crazy, this and that. I'm not paying him that. I'm paying him 15 million, 20 million. Like, man, that's just not the way the NFL works. There is a market in place. Agents are gonna go for that market value, and even higher, and then negotiate somewhere in the middle. So for Dak's contract, not getting his contract done before Carson Wentz kind of puts them in a little bit of a bind, because Carson Wentz 32.4 a year. Dak's a better quarterback, and if you're Dak's agent, you're looking at 33 million. All right, and the Cowboys are not probably not. That's probably not their opening number. Cowboys' opening number is probably 25, somewhere like that. So if they can work in a deal 25 to 30, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. But my prediction on him, I think he gets anywhere from 29 to 30 million dollars per year annually. All right, so it's the next one. Ted Gonzalez. Do we have a bad ball catcher on the roster? Broadest since 19 is a guy you can count on Dax selling for a game. The accuracy, had visions. No, okay. So for this one, do we have a bad ball catcher? I wouldn't say we don't. I wouldn't say we have bad ball catchers. Now, the one thing that some people did kind of criticize were some of the drops that Amari Cooper had with the Raiders. That was a real thing there. He did have some drop issues there, but not something that was detrimental to the team. So I don't think we have a bad ball catcher, and certainly Cooper didn't have any of those issues really when he was playing with us last season. He looked really good. Gallup, he snatched the ball out. All these guys do. They've done a really good job, ejecting out the body catching type players, these unreliable, body catchers that will cause interceptions and that kind of thing. So that's a good one. Let's get to the next one here. I'm gonna kind of pick up the pace and go through these quick. With both Michael Gallup and will both Gallup and Amari Cooper have 1,000-yard receiving yards? I think Cooper definitely will have 1,000. Michael Gallup, I think he'll have really close to 1,000. I would say realistically, with Randall Cobb, probably is going to take out some of his yardage down the field. But if they can connect on some of these deep passes, I would say Gallup anywhere from 800 to 800 yards. I would say somewhere around in that range, maybe 900. But if they become a pass-happy passing team, it's certainly possible. All right. Next one, Think Blue 27. How bad does the Wentz deal hurt the Cowboys' talks for re-signing Dax, Zeke, and Cooper? It won't hurt re-signing any of these guys. It's just going to make negotiations kind of go a little bit longer than really what we want, probably. Like I said, the Dak thing, I think that kind of does hurt you now. Now, let's say that let's say Jared Goff gets a new deal, because he's coming up too. Let's say they get his deal done next. You never know. They might do his deal here this offseason. That number is going to be higher than Carson Wentz. All right, Jared Goff has shown to be a better quarterback. Now he's got a better coach teaching him how to play ball. They got a better team there. Jared Goff looks like that top-ranked quarterback. So that guy's going to demand some money. So Cowboys, they better get with it. They better get with it, all right? or this thing's gonna balloon out of control. All right. Deberto Rodriguez, big fan of the channel. I haven't heard any news on Cedric Wilson. How is he coming along? All right, so yeah, and will he make this team this year? So Cedric Wilson, the one thing I have heard on him, he's looking good with the speed and that kind of thing. So he'll be in the mix. But yeah, you really aren't hearing much from him. There's been a lot of Randall Cobb. Dak and Randall Cobb have really hit it off. All right, this looks like it's gonna be a good marriage for the Cowboys. Randall Cobb, you know, playing in the slot, playing on the outside, getting down the field more than Beasley ever did. And we're talking just OTAs. Can you imagine once we get into training camp and real football, what that's gonna be? So Cedric Wilson, the wide receiver, like I said, is really deep. There's gonna be some good receivers not making this team. All right, let's go to the next one. James Graves Jr. Can Daniel Wise beat out Daniel Ross? Can Cedric Wilson ultimately beat out Allen Hurns? Okay, so can Daniel Wise beat out Daniel Ross? Daniel Ross has had a pretty good OTAs. He knows how to be a professional with the Cowboys. He made the team last year, obviously, so he's the incumbent. All right, Daniel Wise really is probably going to have to really rely on somebody slipping up or getting injured for him to make it. But he could, man. They could go deeper at defensive line. You know, they could go shorter at several other positions. You know, they could go shorter at wide receiver, possibly offensive line, quarterback. I don't see them carrying 3 quarterbacks. So you might be able to cut some spots here and there if you wanna keep a person. Daniel Wise they had on the radar for a while. So could he beat Daniel Ross? I don't know if he'll beat him out, but I think he'll be in contention to, you know, possibly make a roster spot. All right. And can Wilson beat out Hurns? I don't know if he can beat him, only because Hurns has way more experience. He's a 1,000-yard receiver. He knows how to be a pro in this league. With the Cowboys, he's shown to be an asset with the Cowboys. But the thing with him is Hurns going to be able to get on the field in training camp? You know, obviously he's still coming along with the recovery, but all indications are there aren't any setbacks. He's looking good. So can he beat him out? If he does, it might be because Hurns doesn't take a pay cut. They're going to have to cut that rate most likely. And if that doesn't happen, maybe Cedric Wilson makes it just on that. But I'd rather have him earn his way on the team and not just because of somebody's, you know, pay being too high. Next one, Rex Winland. How many receiving yards and TD will Jason Witten have? This is a good question. How many receiving yards? I would say typically Witten has had anywhere between 500 to 700 and something yards, usually on the high side. So I'm going to say 500 yards receiving. TDs probably somewhere like 3 or 4. He's really good in the red zone. Had a good rapport with Dak Prescott in 2016. And him and Prescott have a good connection in the red zone. And obviously that's where the Cowboys suffered immensely over the last 2 seasons, especially last year. They just couldn't move it. Witten knows where to be. And that's where these other young tight ends really hurt you last year, because yeah, they did get on the field, but sometimes they weren't in the right spots, or you know, there's a miscommunication and that kind of thing. Witten knows soft spots, knows where to get in and get those yardage, man. Even if it's 6 yards, he's moving the ball down. All right, let's go to the next one. David Pence. Will this O-line be better this year? All right, yes, it will be better this year. And we're talking all across the board. We're talking from the starters down to the backups. So getting Travis Frederick back, that already makes this offensive line better. But he's still going through the recovery process, knocking the rust off. So let's keep an eye on that one there. But everything looks good so far for him. Let's see how he looks once the pads come on. So that looks good. Connor Williams, he looks a lot better, looks a lot bigger, looks NFL ready for sure this year. And he's getting cross training at tackle position for a future change probably. So offensive line is looking good. We'll see how Lyle Collins plays. That might ultimately be your weak link this season. So we'll see. You had a lot of trouble last year. This one comes from Paul. Why do so many hate Jeff Heath? Considering the overall talent, our defense isn't a guy who is good, but not great enough for strong safety. Okay. Isn't a guy who is good, but not great enough. Okay, so I think when you're looking across your roster, you do want, you know, better than good enough. So I'm not so sure about that one there. He to me is like a Bill Bates. You know, he's a really good player, special teams ace. That's what he is. But playing in a position where he could be upgraded, and it seems like they've been chasing that upgrade for quite a while now. All right. They've been trying to go cheap at that position all the way back to Matt Johnson, Justin Barrio. You go all the way back. Justin Barrio, Matt Johnson, hamstring issues, injuries to Barrio. You know, they've drafted countless people, free agent people, Ken Hamlin. I mean, they've gone through safety and they have not found a Darren Woodson type player. And really, you know, they might have something with the Wilson kid out of A&M, but he could be your surprise guy. But why do some people hate Jeff Heath? I think that's the reason. You know, they're wanting somebody to be in there that can be, you know, somebody that we don't have. You know, we just don't have that. And if you have a player there, some people despise that player. Like, man, I wish we had somebody better. I hate this guy. That's really how I think, you know, a lot of fans see players that are just okay, that they don't really care for. All right. Let's go to the next one. Rex Wendland, will Cullen offense score 28 to 35 points a game? I'm going to say no. I think they're going to be deliberate in their game planning. You know, I wouldn't say it's going to be conservative. They're going to open it up, but they're not going to open it up where it's going to be costly or forcing, you know, stuff where you're getting quick 3-and-outs. I think this team is still going to go through the running game. All right, chewing up the clock. And if you're chewing up the clock, you know, you're not going to have high scoring points. But I do think with the defense and a better offense, you will see more points this season. All right, but 28 to 35 a game, I don't see that being like the average. There could be a couple of games where they score that much. I could definitely see that. But that's a good question. So we'll see. All right, 20. On the 20th question here. Do you think Tony Pollard and Randall Cobb could push Tavon Austin off the 53? I've just never been a really big fan of Tavon Austin. I'll put that out there as a disclosure to you guys. I just don't like that he's always hurt. Miss too much time, man. Missing too much time. I just hate when players are missing a lot of time. They hurt the team like that because the Cowboys are stubborn. They like to keep players on. Even if they're hurt, they keep them, and they could have had somebody else, right? So I think Tavon Austin will push himself off the roster this year. He's probably going to get hurt. And like I said in some of my other videos, this is going to be the wrong season. Moving forward, this is going to be the wrong season to get hurt because if you're not on the field, you're probably going to be out of here. But definitely, I do agree. I mean, I do see Tony Pollard taking those plays away from Austin. Pollard is a better runner. After the catch, you know, he can play in the receiver slot position, and he can play out of the backfield. Obviously, he can run with power, run with speed. He can give you juice in the return game. I mean, that's Tavon Austin, and we do have him to a minimal deal. Tavon Austin, they gave him a vet minimum for 1 year, so you're not tied to him whatsoever. So I just don't see him making it. And obviously, Randall Cobb, he's going to take a lot of those as well. Tavon Austin is. If you want to talk about a gadget gimmick player, it's Tavon Austin, but you don't want to have 2 or 3 of the same players. So Austin, to me, I don't think he even makes the team. All right. 21. Who's your rookie pet cat from both sides, defense and offense? This is from Slum210 Hood. Good question. All right. So when I think of a rookie pet cat, I'm thinking of somebody that wasn't drafted. I'm thinking about your underdog player, your underdog, you know, like an undrafted guy, or maybe a late round pick or somebody, but definitely not a rookie pet cat, not somebody that we use the early pick. So for me, defensively speaking, my pet cat is going to be Daniel Wise. I like what I've seen from him so far. I think he has potential, has the size, can play on the outside at end, can move inside the defensive tackle. Cowboys have already given him looks there. So he's that. On the offensive side, John Bay Johnson, he's going to be the other pet cat for me on offense. I think he's off to a good start. Hopefully he can keep stacking those good performances in the training camp and into the preseason when the lights turn on, all right? We see it every year with these guys. Turning heads, Lance Lenoir. Turning heads, Andy Jones, okay? And then when the preseason comes on, they disappear, all right? So let's hope that these guys can be better than that, all right? So next, this comes from Anthony Lavelle. Who do you think will be a surprise cut from the 53-man roster when the season starts? And will Allen Hurns take a pay cut? Will Allen Hurns take a pay cut? I think he would. I think he kind of knows that. I think he's slated to make 6.5. I think for him, it's either take the pay cut or you're probably going to get released. So we'll see. Surprise cut for me is going to be Kayvon Frazier. I think you have pretty good competition there now at safety with George Iloka, Wilson, the drafted kid there, and a couple of other. You have Darian Thompson as well. So safety is not as bad as some people are saying or thinking it is. You know, not everybody can get an Ed Reed. Not everybody can get a a ball hawk like that, or Rodney, or a Harrison, or those kinds of safeties. They just don't come along that often, and everybody wants one, right? But I think Kayvon Frazier could be a surprise cut if you're thinking about a player that's been here for a while, that you're accustomed to just making the team by default. I think with the knee scope that he has, he's gonna kind of put him a little bit behind. Plays really good. The run defense, they don't really put him in the position to play the pass. And I do love Kayvon Frazier. He's one of my favorite players, obviously, and I've been pulling for him for a while. Anybody that's followed the channel knows that about me. But I think the competition has finally caught up to that position, and I think Frazier could be one. All right, J-Mac. Which O-line man do you think has to prove something this year, due to the fact we might not have a lot of guys the following year? Who has to prove something this year? Obviously, it's got to be Connor Williams, because we're assuming that he got bigger, bulked up, that's going to be the missing piece for his game. All right, now, if we still see him getting manhandled there at the guard position, and you have Connor McGovern and you have Suafilo, do you start asking yourself, uh-oh, did we screw up here? Or are you just trying to make it through this season and then you bounce them to tackle? So they need to figure that out. Hopefully Connor Williams is ready to go with the technique. I think he's got the strength down. Now it's just a matter of technique. All right, so to me, it's got to be him. I would say Lyle Collins, but I think he's just going to be playing this season out and he'll move on in free agency. All right, that's it, man. That's it. Everybody else is, we know what we have in everybody else. Tyron Smith, we know what he does. You got to have somebody ready just in case the back, acts up, but still playing at a very high level. Zach Martin, the Gob, he's the best in the league. He's your number one offensive guard in this league. But you do have another Notre Dame guy over there, Quentin Nelson at the Colts, who's another beast. But right now, Zach Martin is he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT when you're talking about guards. He's been doing it for a long time. Rarely misses games. He's the best there is. All right. And let's get one more in here. I think I got everybody here. If I didn't get to your question, it's probably because this video was shot after your question was submitted. But I really appreciate everybody that submitted their questions. And if you like this video, click like. We'll do another one of these through the dead zone to help us get through it. These are very fun, great questions. Thank you for everybody that participated, everybody that watched the video all the way through. Very good questions, very good discussion. Let's hope we get through minicamp healthy. Let's hope that these guys get through their summer vacation without having any kind of scenes. We don't need that. We're already on Goodell's watch list by default. So let's stay out of the headlines. All right, guys, but we'll keep more videos coming here. I have a lot of stuff coming here. We will continue to put out good content here for you guys. But as usual, guys, continue to like, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and hit that bell notification so when the video comes up live, you're ready to watch this thing, all right? But that's it, guys. See you for the next one. Peace.